oh God, they're back. This is the reverse freedom flight. But all is not as it seems. The intention, according to Harry, is to be here for at least the next decade. Meghan Markle, who claims to put being a mum first, which we always knew was total poppycock, is actually not even going to be in the UK. The beginning of an conscious uncoupling.
Harry and Meghan have finally landed in Britain, but this is not the triumphant family homecoming their team wants the world to see. Behind the private jet, the carefully controlled arrival, and the polished talk of an international family, a far more explosive reality is beginning to emerge. Harry is reportedly planting himself in the United Kingdom. Archie and Lily are starting school there. Meghan is already planning when she will disappear back to California. They arrived on the same aircraft, but they may now be preparing to live on opposite sides of the Atlantic.
The Daily Mail now confirming a long-term separation, physically at least, between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Before we get into today's story, I wanted to let you know that I've finally launched my Patreon. Many of you have been asking for more royal family content, so that's exactly what I'll be posting there. Exclusive investigations, bonus videos, breaking royal news, and members-only discussions that won't be available on YouTube. If you're interested, you'll find the link in the description. Now, let's get into today's story. Is this really a fresh start? Or did the Sussexes just begin the longest, most carefully disguised separation in royal history? 6 years after their dramatic exit, the so-called freedom flight has gone into reverse.
It is Harry's dream, and simply Meghan will come and go. But any suggestion, which Meghan has briefed to the media in recent days, that this is going to be temporary for Prince Harry and that actually they could end up in Australia or Canada, total baloney.
Harry and Meghan left Britain convinced that America would deliver everything the royal family supposedly denied them: money, power, privacy, celebrity friends, Hollywood influence, and complete control over their public image. Now their private jet has touched down in Birmingham, and the grand American experiment suddenly looks very different.
Here is the private jet, Planet 9. Apparently this is one of those used by the likes of Kendall and Kris Jenner, so God knows how those two were able to afford it.
The little ones are expected to begin school in Britain. Their dogs reportedly traveled with them. A private home has been arranged. Staff have allegedly been interviewed. These are not the actions of a family arriving for 2 ceremonial appearances and a weekend reunion.
Meghan and Harry were there several days ago interviewing staff, although I find it hilarious because who the heck wants to work for them? They have lost anywhere between 18 and 25 professional staff, not including the round robin of staffers inside the home, including gardeners, housekeepers, maids, chefs, because you know she doesn't cook, and nannies.
Wow. I mean, they've got nobody left. And doesn't that just speak volumes of the two of them, and then perhaps that their personalities may just be the biggest problem here?
These are the actions of people building a base. The biggest question is no longer whether Harry has returned. It is how long Meghan intends to remain beside him. That is where the story becomes brutal. Reports now suggest Harry, Archie, and Lily could be based in Britain for the duration of their schooling. Depending on how that plan develops, this could stretch across roughly 15 years.
The intention, according to Harry, is to be here for at least the next decade. The friend says the way he sees it is that he will be here for the next 12 to 15 years minimum. He sees himself as a full-time father, and he will be here for them, spending every Saturday watching Archie play rugby. That is his agenda.
15 years is not an extended holiday. It is not a temporary experiment. It is an entire childhood. It is a permanent structure built around schools, terms, friendships, sports, routines, and a father who apparently has no intention of returning to America full-time. Meghan's reported plan looks completely different.
Of course, she is not putting the children first. She is putting her career first. He is putting his life first, and they are all trying to hide behind the children. It's quite gross.
She is said to be mapping out which weeks she needs to spend in Britain and which weeks she will be required in California. She may be present for some of the school term, but not all of it. The family could still spend holidays in California, while Meghan continues managing her American business interests and pursuing whatever opportunities remain there.
Meghan will need to spend quite a bit of time in the US, says a friend. She can't just dial in, she will need to be there. Now again, Tash, that is just a lie. It is a total lie. I mean, firstly, you're completely correct. This business is failing anyway. Secondly, what does she need to be there for? There are no bricks and mortar stores. This is an online digital brand. Everything could be done remotely. She could travel back for launches. She could do photo shoots over here. She could appear in TV shows and travel specifically for a number of weeks in order to film them. So this is another lie. But why this lie is interesting to me, Tash, is it is a friend of the couple trying to justify why Meghan and Harry are going to be physically separated. So they're blaming it on work, but actually what they're doing is trying to make the public and a gullible MSM swallow this narrative that actually everything's fine.
In plain English, Harry and the little ones establish their daily life in Britain while Meghan flies in and out when her calendar allows. That arrangement is being dressed up as an international family. It sounds modern, glamorous, and flexible. But remove the glossy language and examine the actual schedule. One spouse stays in Britain with the offspring. The other spends long periods in California.
But it's very, very, very rare that it's the mum that is the one that walks away.
They maintain separate professional worlds, separate routines, and homes separated by more than 5,000 miles. That is not simply international living. It is a marriage operating through airport lounges, calendar invitations, and carefully negotiated visits. No official separation announcement is expected.
There isn't going to be any separation announcement, is there? They're doing this to avoid that. It is a separation. It is a physical separation. It is a career separation. It is a parenting separation. I mean, Meghan Markle, who claims to put being a mum first, which we always knew was total poppycock, is actually not even going to be in the UK for the bulk of the kids turning up at school.
Why would there be one when they can keep the Sussex brand alive while quietly dividing their lives? Their value has always depended on the image of Harry and Meghan as a united force against the world. A formal split would destroy that central product overnight. Their deals, interviews, grievances, and public identity were built around the couple. So instead of announcing an ending, they can introduce a new label, not separated, not living apart, simply international.
It's also a gameplay. This is also going to enable Meghan to play victim. There are so many stories being planted at such an alarming speed. It's causing confusion, but it also enables Meghan and Harry to turn around and say, look, poor Meghan, she's barely stepped foot in the country and already people are laughing at her. People are being cruel about her. And it's all going to be added together for Meghan to go back to America saying, the UK was just horrible about me.
The manner of their arrival created another problem immediately.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle land in the UK on a private jet.
Harry and Meghan flew into Britain aboard a luxury private aircraft, reportedly after a journey of nearly 10 hours. Estimates place the charter cost deep into six figures. The aircraft reportedly offered lavish space, beds, bathrooms, and room for a mountain of luggage.
They were on this private jet. They have lectured the world on climate change over the past few years. And this is a private plane that costs about $12,000 per hour for that 10-hour flight. It's got 2 bathrooms, comfortable seating for 13 passengers, 5 beds that sleep 6, and a storage case for 12 to 15 medium suitcases, Paula. And yet they have told us for years, climate change, the climate emergency. They are the eco-zealots when it suits them.
It was an entrance designed for people who consider an ordinary first-class cabin far too ordinary. That would already attract attention. But Harry has spent years associating himself with environmental causes and more responsible travel. He helped promote the idea that travelers should understand the impact of their choices. He positioned himself as a public voice on climate concerns.
You'll remember they won an award, and
Yes.
like a big environmental award for pledging to only have 2 children. Isn't that sweet?
Then, for the journey announcing his return to British life, he reportedly selected one of the most carbon-heavy forms of transport available. The hypocrisy was impossible to miss. Harry lectures, then Harry jets. Ordinary families are told to change their behavior, accept higher costs, and think carefully about every journey.
But, just play the game a little bit. This is an eco-warrior that lectures everybody else about how to behave and just flies in on a private jet.
And he's a representative of a travel company, an eco-travel company in California, that promotes the idea of ethical travel, how to get around the world without damaging the environment.
The Sussexes cross the Atlantic in a private aircraft when commercial flights operate every day. Their defenders can argue about security and privacy, but the image remains devastating. The eco-warrior arriving on a luxury jet while asking everyone else to travel responsibly. The contrast became sharper because William and Catherine have previously been seen using commercial and even budget flights for family journeys.
9-hour, 55-minute flight. The dogs believed to be on board. The children believed to be on board. By the way, the estimates for this charter flight, roughly 90 to 140,000 pounds. That's before you get to the environmental impact. Wonder what Travelist would have to say about that.
Nobody pretends their lives are ordinary, and they receive serious protection. Yet they understand the value of occasionally showing restraint. Harry's first message upon returning was not humility, simplicity, or an attempt to rebuild trust. It was a 6-figure private flight into Birmingham.
We know that her billionaire friend, Victoria Jackson, has loaned her their plane in the past to fly back and forth from Europe. And God forbid these two should fly commercial.
Oh, gosh, no. Though I'm pretty sure that they flew commercial when they came to Australia a couple of months ago.
That arrival also raised the security battle all over again. Harry returned without the permanent taxpayer-funded protection he has demanded. His family was reportedly met by private vehicles and their own security team, not a publicly funded police convoy.
They're back in the land that they called racist, of course, back to a place Harry said that he could never see a world in which he could return to, and a place where they tarnished the institution. I mean, the irony of it, Paula.
Well, first of all, Danica, I'd like to call it the failure flight because that's exactly what it was.
That detail matters because the Sussexes' return creates an immediate question. Will their new life in Britain become another campaign to force the public to pay for protection they were previously denied? The palace cannot avoid this forever. Harry is not a working royal. Meghan is not returning to royal duties. They chose financial independence and left the official system.
What Harry wants in Britain is not what he has in Montecito.
Yet living in Britain places them closer to royal events, royal properties, and public attention. If they demand all the protection of senior royals without performing the duties, the old half-in, half-out argument will explode again. The public will notice every special arrangement. If police escorts appear, people will ask who approved them. If royal properties are offered, people will ask why. If Harry is quietly folded back into family events, William's reaction will become a story.
The plan is for Christmas to be in Montecito. I'm personally relieved about that. No awkwardness for the royal family gathering at Sandringham, and for lots of time during the school holidays to be spent as a family in California where Meghan's mother Doria lives.
If Meghan begins feeding selected appearances to friendly outlets, the palace will be dragged into another cycle of briefings, denials, and accusations. Their return does not calm the royal crisis. It moves the crisis back onto the royal family's doorstep. King Charles faces a personal and institutional trap. As a father, he may want Harry closer. As a grandfather, he may welcome more contact with the young ones.
There has been no apology from Prince Harry or Meghan Markle to the British royal family before this despicable arrival.
But as monarch, he cannot allow private affection to create a shadow royal court with public benefits and no public obligations. Every concession risks looking like a reward for years of attacks. Every refusal gives Harry and Meghan fresh material to claim rejection. William has even less reason to celebrate.
All of a sudden, Harry is not briefing that he puts Meghan first. I mean, remember everything about leaving the United Kingdom. When Archie was alive, by the way, Archie had been born, was about Meghan and protecting Meghan. There's none of that now. There's none of that. He doesn't give a damn because he has woken up. This is all about the children. They admit that. This is 100% about the children. Nothing, Tash, do you note that? Nothing about him wanting to protect his wife, which actually is the role of a husband. Now, we all understand why he doesn't want to do that, but you get where I'm going with this.
Harry did not simply leave. He publicly exposed private family tensions, criticized the institution William will inherit, and repeatedly placed Catherine inside a global media storm. Now, the Sussexes are back in Britain, close enough to generate constant comparisons and unwanted headlines. William does not need to confront them directly. A cold distance will say enough. Meghan will also discover that returning geographically does not restore her position.
There's no way that she would just walk away from the children unless there's something in it for her. And I think as these stories are coming out thick and fast, I don't think it would be too long if this is going to be an official separation, the start of the separation. I don't think these two are going to be able to play nice for very long. They have both got huge egos.
She left as a working duchess with a platform inside the most famous royal family in the world. She returns as a private citizen with a title, a business, and a deeply divided public reputation. The palace machine no longer exists to organize her appearances, protect her image, or make every entrance historic. Britain remembers her, but remembering is not the same as welcoming.
Meghan is not doing this because she wants to. Hallelujah! That is what I've been saying for a number of days. She is doing it because she believes she has to. She does not want to lose Harry, and she knows something has to change.
That may explain why California remains essential. It gives Meghan an escape route, a commercial base, and a country where she can still frame herself as the duchess who survived royal life. If Britain becomes uncomfortable, she can fly back and say the press made normal family life impossible. If her American projects need attention, she can claim professional necessity. If questions about the marriage intensify, distance can be presented as work rather than conflict. Yet every explanation creates another contradiction.
If he lied on that visa, it's game over. And so I'm hearing they have real visa issues, concerns, and the last thing they want is an international scandal where he's literally kicked out of the country.
If the family returned for unity, why will Meghan spend so much time away? If the move is temporary, why enroll Archie and Lily in British schools? If Harry remains committed to America, why are insiders insisting he will not return full-time? If their marriage is stronger than ever, why does their new structure look so carefully designed to let them live separate lives without saying the word separate?
Sources close to the couple have confirmed the physical separation is very much long-term. We all know this is the beginning of the end.
Even the chickens reportedly remaining in Montecito have been offered as proof that California has not been abandoned. But that detail only exposes how desperate the messaging has become. Dogs travel to Britain, little ones enter school, Harry builds a home, Meghan keeps dates in California, and the chickens become evidence of family continuity. When poultry is required to explain the state of a royal marriage, the story has already escaped anyone's control.
Their return is moving at a cracking pace.
Even the language surrounding their arrival has turned against them. This is no longer being called a freedom flight. It is being mocked as the failure flight. That nickname hurts because it strikes directly at the story the Sussexes spent years selling. California was supposed to be their kingdom. Montecito was supposed to be the command center of a global brand. Netflix deals, podcasts, celebrity dinners, awards, political connections, luxury projects. Everything was meant to prove that Harry and Meghan were bigger outside the palace than they had ever been inside it. Yet the man who said he had escaped now appears desperate to return to the country he abandoned. And this is not being presented as a quick visit.
The king has been well aware of what Harry wanted for some time, and on their visit in July, he knows that they were looking around schools. William has also been aware for about 6 months. There is no question of anyone being blindsided. When he appeared on former rugby star and Traitors star Joe Marler's podcast last month, Harry did indeed describe himself, partly joking, as a full-time dad. The plan now is that he will indeed be the key at-home parent while Meghan travels back and forth to their home in Montecito.
But the geography tells its own story. Harry's future is being rebuilt in the United Kingdom. Meghan's commercial identity remains tied to California. Archie and Lily's school calendar will anchor Harry to Britain. Meghan's ambitions will keep pulling her back to America. Every flight will widen the gap. Every missed school week will raise another question. Every solo appearance will be inspected. The Sussexes may avoid the word separation, but they cannot stop people noticing when their lives stop overlapping.
You know, if you're going to separate, if you're going to pack your kids up, you do this slowly. And for them that are always talking about privacy and security and safety, you think that this would have been all done under wraps. We would have maybe heard about it, I don't know, a few months down the line. Harry and Meghan are spotted in the UK. You know, it would eventually get leaked. But the fact that they have done this as such a big, well-publicized, in your face, it's been absolute chaos. It doesn't seem to be like it's been well thought out, but obviously enrolling the children in a school is thought out. But they are just absolute agents of chaos. But I just really cannot see how Meghan can try and now peddle that being a mum is the most important thing in the world to her, when it's quite clearly obvious that she is going to be the one that's out of there.
Harry's alleged determination makes this even more serious. People discussing the move claim there is virtually no chance he will return to the United States as a full-time resident. He is said to have been bored, restless, and frustrated in California. The sunshine, mansion, and celebrity neighbors did not replace the world he understood. He lost familiar friendships, military connections, royal status, and the sense of purpose that once came automatically with his position.
Their neighbors in Montecito are kind of excited to see them go. They brought a lot of unwanted attention to the area, but they also didn't give anything back to the community. They weren't involved. They were not good neighbors, it is the term that is being used. Now, in LA, it's like, see you later.
For years, Harry appeared trapped between the life Meghan wanted and the life he had left behind. In California, he was famous, but he was not central. He could attend events, produce programs, give interviews, and speak about personal struggles, yet he was still a British prince floating through an American celebrity scene that never completely became his own. Britain offers something California cannot manufacture: history, identity, old connections, and a role that exists even when the cameras disappear.
His school will indeed be in or close to the Cotswolds, and the Sussexes are looking for a country house nearby with a budget of around £8 million. So there is no house lined up at this point.
Now he is back on familiar ground, and reports suggest he has wanted this for years. He can reconnect with the few friends still willing to see him. He can become involved with British charities. He can attend school events and sports matches. He can present himself as a full-time father, rebuilding his life at home. After years of following Meghan into her world, Harry may finally have made a decision that forces Meghan to follow him or accept that they will increasingly live apart. That looks dangerously close to an ultimatum. Harry does not need to announce it at a press conference. The little one's enrollment makes the decision for him.
Harry's going to have a hell of a lot of time on his hands. Lady Colin Campbell has already reported that there has been some type of friendship with a woman in California, in Montecito. Well, what happens if someone takes his eye in the United Kingdom when Meghan is not to be seen anywhere? That's going to be the question. But of course, that is a long way away.
Once their school life begins, removing them again would create another upheaval. Their schedule fixes Harry in Britain and places the pressure on Meghan. She can remain there and adapt to the country she once hurried to leave, or she can keep returning to California and allow the distance inside the marriage to become visible. Meghan faces a problem whichever route she chooses. Britain does not offer the same kind of control she enjoyed behind the gates of Montecito. The newspapers will scrutinize every move. The public remembers the accusations, the interviews, and the attacks on royal life. The palace will not hand her a starring role. William and Catherine are not going to step aside.
Meghan will come and go, and is apparently already plotting out which weeks she will need to be here and when she will be in California. So, in other words, she wants to be in the UK with her husband and children as little as possible.
There is no automatic return to royal duties, no balcony guarantee, and no public appetite for a recreated half-in, half-out arrangement. California, however, no longer looks like the unstoppable success story she once imagined. The giant Spotify deal collapsed. Netflix attention has changed. Celebrity friendships have been questioned. Their public image has taken repeated blows. Reports from Montecito have portrayed them as distant neighbors surrounded by staff and security rather than beloved members of the community. Meghan may still see America as the center of her future, but Harry apparently sees it as the place where his life stalled.
I find it all really hypocritical, them arriving on a private jet, costing God knows how much, how much, 9,000 an hour or something. What is, I don't know. This is a guy who's an eco-warrior telling everyone else, not to fly. And here he is flying on a private jet to Birmingham. It's just, it's whoever, these people are beyond advising, but, that's not a great look, is it?
Even their departure has failed to produce the wave of sadness their team might have expected. The reported reaction from parts of Montecito has been closer to relief than heartbreak. Neighbors allegedly grew tired of the attention, the convoys, and the constant security presence. In Hollywood, invitations depend on influence, excitement, and what someone brings into the room. Harry and Meghan once arrived with royal electricity. 6 years later, that electricity appears badly drained. Britain is not receiving two conquerors returning from a successful American campaign. It is receiving a couple whose promised empire never reached the size of its publicity.
This is the reverse freedom flight, but all is not as it seems.
That conflict cannot be solved with branding. One of them wants the structure of Britain. The other still needs the opportunity of America. One wants familiar territory. The other built her identity around leaving it. One may see the return as rescue, the other may see it as a professional inconvenience. Their jet landed, but their priorities did not suddenly land in the same place. The Sussexes may believe they can manage this through selective leaks. One outlet hears that the move is permanent, another is told it is temporary. One friend says Harry has returned for good. Another insists they remain a Californian family.
Meghan will be flitting back and forth to America whilst Harry stays in the UK with the children. So a conscious uncoupling then. If all this drama they have created is because those two are separating, just announced it, I'm bored and tired. And Tash, of course, they're not just going to announce it.
The confusion is useful because it prevents any single version from becoming official. But it also makes them look evasive. People can see that the pieces do not fit. Their biggest mistake may be assuming the old United Front photograph will settle every question. They arrive together, therefore everything must be fine. But a joint flight proves only that two people occupied the same aircraft. It does not explain where they will live next month, who will handle the daily school routine, how many weeks Meghan will spend in California, or why Harry reportedly refuses to return there permanently. The real test begins after the luggage is unpacked. Will Meghan remain in Britain through the dark winter months? Will she appear beside Harry at school events and charity engagements?
The beginning of an conscious uncoupling.
Will they be seen building one shared home, or will the departures begin almost immediately? Will Harry look relieved when she leaves, or isolated when she is gone? The answers will not come from a spokesperson. They will come from the pattern of their movements. For now, the pattern already points in one direction. Harry has chosen Britain. The little one's education anchors him there. Meghan's ambitions keep pulling her west. The palace offers no official comeback. America no longer offers Harry the life he expected. Their compromise is a marriage stretched across an ocean, protected by a new label and supported by private jets. This was supposed to be a spectacular return. Instead, it has exposed every unresolved problem at once. Harry's unhappiness in California, Meghan's lack of a clear role in Britain, their collapsing American dream, the private jet hypocrisy, the security fight, the tension with the palace, and a family schedule that separates husband and wife for long periods.
This is kind of par for the course with these two. They like to say one thing, do another. It's rules for thee, but not for me. Same thing that they had when they come out and talk to people about you should never put your kids on social media. What did? They put their own kids.
They walked away from Britain together and declared themselves free. 6 years later, they have returned together only to prepare for separate routines, separate careers, and potentially separate countries. The freedom flight has reversed, but the marriage may not survive the landing. So, what are we really watching? A practical arrangement created for the little ones, or the beginning of a carefully managed split? Can Harry and Meghan remain a married couple when their futures now point in opposite directions? And when Meghan boards her next flight to California, will the Sussexes still call this an international family, or will the rest of the world finally call it what it appears to be? If you enjoyed this video and want even more royal family content, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I'm uploading exclusive investigations, bonus content, and members-only videos that won't be released on YouTube. I'll be adding new content regularly. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to everything, the link is in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.